Today on Dane's Desk, we will be talking about how to turn your iPhone and MacBook into a money machine. The ultimate goal here is by the time you finish this training, you'll know how to use your Apple tools and the internet to generate recurring monthly income. So, on that note, let's go ahead and dive on in. First thing I want to cover is our agenda. It's going to be fairly simple. We are going to cover 7 basic points. We're going to cover the customer that you're going to be dealing with, the problem that you're going to be solving, the opportunity that you have to come in and help the customer with. We're going to talk about the importance of you being a guide. Then we're going to jump into the plan, then the action that you need to take, and the stakes that we are playing with. So, on that note, let's go ahead and talk about the first point: the customer. So, who is our customer? The customer that we're going to be talking about today is established business owners. Ideally, these are individuals who have a staff, or they have a one person shop, or a small team of maybe 2 or 3 or 4. But the ultimate goal here is they've been in business for a couple of years. They generate revenue, they have some profits, and most importantly, they're a player. They're somebody that's actively advertising, they're actively promoting, and you can see this because they are running, I should say, recurring ads in popular press within their local market, as well as maybe some online ads, as well as actively promoting themselves. So they have an updated website. They have an updated, what else do they have? They have an updated social media presence. They have updated business listings. They have an updated Google My Business profile that has active reviews. So those are the type of things you want to be looking at when you're going to be, identifying the customer. But again, these are going to be established business owners who want to stay visible and competitive in a digital first world so they can get more leads and customers online. As the attention continues to shift online to the internet, specifically to social media, advertising is shifting there as well. So as a local business owner and entrepreneur, you can still capitalize off of this attention, this traffic, this awareness in a sense, by making sure that you are, you can be found where the attention is at. So that's on social media. And so that is a problem for these established business owners, though. And what is that problem? The problem here is these individuals know that new leads and customers are the lifeblood of their company. And in a digital first world, they understand, like I stated before, that most of the attention is online and on social media. But that's a place where they show up inconsistently. And there's a reason why they show up inconsistently. And the reason is between their life and the day-to-day operations of their business, they don't really have the time to create content consistently so that they can post it on social media so that they can show up consistently, which is going to provide them with the opportunity to get in front of more new customers without it becoming a part-time job, because they already don't have the time. And that typically is the sticking point here. And that's now the opportunity. Now that we know that these established business owners, whether they are one individual shop, or they have a small team or a large staff, the problem here ultimately is like either they don't have the skill sets and the know-how and the expertise and the imagination and the communication skills to execute, a content production strategy, or they don't have someone on their team who can do it, but they know that they need to be doing it. And so that's an opportunity for you to step in place. And you could step in as a content production partner to create content for these business owners that they can post on social media with your Apple tools So your iPhone, you can use your MacBook and the internet, of course, so they can stay visible and competitive in the digital first world so that they can get more leads and customers online. All right, because remember, now that the attention is shifting away from traditional media, so TV, radio, print magazines, and think about it. When was the last time that you picked up a magazine? When was the last time that you sat down in front of the TV for any, large amount of time? Like, and I'm by TV, I mean, regular traditional, in my market, Los Angeles, so we got ABC7, KCAL 9. So that basic regular TV, when was the last time you actually sat down and watched that? Even cable in some instances. And so traditional media, all the eyeballs, all the attention is shifting away from it. Not all in a sense, but most, I should say, shifting away. So that's where you want to be. That's where you want to show up, where the attention is at. So as the former now, NHL goal leader Wayne Gretzky once stated, you don't want to go where the puck is at. You want to go where the puck is going. That's how you're able to score. And so in this case, we have to, apply that same, amount of wisdom. So now that we know that the puck, in this case, the attention is going away from traditional media into more new media, in this case, social media, that's where we want to show up, short form content specifically. So we're going to talk about, some of the things that you can do as a independent contractor, entrepreneur, future business owner yourself. So, that you can start generating some recurring monthly income by using your Apple tools that you most likely already have. If you're looking at this, so you already have an iPhone at a bare minimum and or a MacBook. But with those just two basic tools, you have more than enough, plus the internet, I should say. You have more than enough to use these tools to take this idea, to take this problem, I should say, of established business owners knowing that they need to create short form content for social media so that they can show up consistently online, which ultimately gets them in front of more new customers so they can be in better position to attract new leads and new sales so that they can increase revenue and maximize profits. They need this content. And the thing is, you don't want to work with the ones that don't care, in a sense, or they're not taking their marketing seriously. You want to focus on the business owners that are taking their marketing seriously. There are a lot of them out there, and so that's where the opportunity is at. So when you're going to them, like that's your value, in a sense. That's what you're providing. That's your provision, your offer. Your value add is you're gonna, in a sense, be a one-stop shop for content production so that they can stay top of mind all year round, because you're going to be able to provide them with new, fresh content on a monthly basis that they will be able to put out at a bare minimum 5 days a week, at least one piece of content. So that's 20 short form videos, in the short form being, videos up to 1 minute, at a bare minimum. Because at the end of the day, the platforms, the social media platforms want to keep people on their platform. So the more the merrier. Maximize your time. And make the content good. And so like that's the value. Again, that's your value add. Like that's how you're going to help these business owners. That's how you're going to help these companies out. That's your opportunity here. All right. So with that being said, let's talk about you being the guide, because that's where an area a lot of individuals get caught up. So understand that you're not trying to be the hero of your customer's story. This isn't about you. This isn't about your experience, your skill or your features, in a sense. You're the guide. Your job here is to help them achieve the outcome that they want. And that outcome in this case, and for this opportunity, is, again, the problem being, they don't have the time to create content themselves, but they know that they need to stay visible and competitive in a digital first world so that they can get more leads and customers online where the attention is at. So that's the value add, like I keep saying. So your job is to guide them toward that outcome by using your skills, your tools, your resources to, in this case, your iPhone and your MacBook, to make sure that they are in a position to, eat in this case, and eating being, get more customers. And so now that we have that part covered, we know what our problem is, we know who our customer is, we know what the opportunity is, and we know what our position in this play is going to be, not as the hero of the story. So this ain't about us. We aren't the star of the show. The customer is the star of the show, and our job is just to help the star, achieve the outcome that they want, which is stand visible and competitive in a digital first world so they can get more leads and customers online. All right. So now that we have that laid out, let's talk about the game plan. So the game plan here is going to be 3 simple steps, and these three simple steps are as follows. Step 1, we're going to talk about skill up. Step 2, we're going to talk about getting clients, and step 3, we're going to talk about collecting checks, quote unquote checks. So step 1, skill up. So what is our mindset here? What are we ultimately striving to accomplish? And the state of mind that you want to be in for this opportunity is you want to understand that, you're here to share with these established business owners an opportunity that they can take advantage of, I should say, to grow their company. You're not here just to sell them a product. You're here to be a partner. And so again, it's you understanding that it's not about you, but it is about the outcome that they want to achieve. And it's about you understanding what their problem is and the outcome that they're trying to achieve. And then using your resourcefulness to help them make that happen. And as a result of you making that happen for them, you solving a viable problem, in this case, producing new content on a monthly basis so that they can stay top of mind all year round. That's important. So that what is the that's something very valuable to these business owners, especially the ones that are players, actively advertising and promoting. So now you have an opportunity to bring them more value. So again, mindset wise, it's about that outcome. So now that we have that clear, let's talk about skilling up in 2 specific areas. So the first area being, we want to make sure that we master the iPhone and the MacBook. So if you just got an iPhone, that's good to get started, because at the end of the day, you want to use your MacBook for iMovie, but the iPhone does come with iMovie on it. So you can still make it happen. But all in all, you want to use, obviously, the topic of our video, using your iPhone and your MacBook and turning those bad boys into money-making machines. You can go to a place like YouTube U to get all the knowledge that you need to be able to learn, to be able to use these two skills. To be able to use these 2 skills. So, for example, we go to YouTube. When we get to YouTube, we just come here. So we type in something like, boom, iPhone camera app tutorial for video. Something like that. And then as we'll see, a whole bunch of videos. How to film and edit high quality YouTube videos on your iPhone in 2025. How to see yourself filming with iPhone back camera. That's a tool right there. But again, as you'll see here, you're going to find plenty of tutorials. The only iPhone filmmaking setup you'll ever need. Again, everything you need to, you have tons of tutorials that you can go through to learn how to use your iPhone camera app, the video feature specifically or function, to make it happen. You don't need fancy tools like Blackmagic. All you need is just your iPhone app. Your iPhone camera app. That's all you need, all right? So now that we have that cleared up, again, just go here, YouTube, you put the time in. And so this is, when it comes to skilling up, this is all about you putting in the time. So again, you already have the tools, you already have the iPhone, you already have the MacBook. You just got to know how to use them. So, all right, so you come here, go to YouTube, you can find tutorials for the iPhone when it comes to that camera app, as well as the iMovie. So iMovie tutorials. Boom. It's that simple. Just put the time in. Plenty of tutorials. iMovie tutorial for beginners 2025. Everything you need to know. So go to YouTube, you study iMovie and the iPhone camera app, how to make video, shoot video with it. And again, when it comes to the shooting the video, you just want to learn things like, obviously, the camera settings. And again, basic HD is fine, but if you feel so inclined, feel free to go up to 4K and cinematic, of course. But basic HD is fine. And again, master the settings, and then also too, you want to go and one of the things you're going to be doing is shoot interviews. So you're going to go to interview, one person interview setup. So you want to study this as well. And you can watch these videos to learn how to, shoot one person interviews. All the tutorials will be here. And then secondly, you also want to study two-person interview setups. And a lot of these things nowadays can be shot with your iPhone. So we'll talk about some equipment that you'll need to make this happen. But for the most part, this is all you need. These basic tools. So you come here, come to YouTube, you study iMovie, you study the iPhone camera app, specifically the video function, how to all the settings, and as well as camera positioning for interviews, whether it's just you or you're filming someone else doing a one-person interview, or you're filming someone else or yourself doing a two-person interview. And all this can be done with your iPhone. All right. So now that you know how to skill up, some equipment that you're going to need, one basic piece. So you can come here to Amazon and you can search for something like, we want to do I already have it up here? No. We want to do, those are trends. We want to do phone stand with ring light, or you could just say with light and phone holder. See what we come up with. And then you just invest in one of these. So boom, a simple kit like this ring light here will do fine. A kit like this will do fine. A kit like that will do fine. Actually, this kit would be really good because this tool right here, that'll help. This stand, that'll help for other type of content that you can help. So investing in this kit, for example, with getting this added stand right here, this would be a value add because you'll be able to shoot different angles of videos, which is important. But again, come here, get one of these stands, get one of these setups with the something like this is perfectly fine. But again, a phone tripod setup with the ring light, that's all you need. All right. So once you get that, then you have everything you need from a skills perspective. You got everything you need. All right. So now that we talked about step one, which is skilling up, let's get into step two, which is getting clients. So when it comes to getting clients, there's really 5 things you want to keep in mind. So the first one is prospecting. The second one is qualifying your prospects. The third one is presenting to your qualified prospects. The fourth one is closing those qualified prospects. And the fifth one is delivering the product that you promised to your qualified prospects who are now paying customers. So when it comes to prospecting, again, we want to reach out to players. These are the business owners that are actively advertising and promoting themselves by running ads. They have an updated website. They have an updated social media presence. They have updated business listings, etc. All right. And again, we want to collect basic contact information, and then you can read through the reviews in a lot of these cases to find out, the actual name of the business owners or the key people you need to be talking to. And then again, now that you have this information, just collect it all. You can use a simple Google sheet, to keep basic, company name, phone address, key contact information, right there. But again, start making your prospect list. But once you make this prospecting list, again, these are going to be players. Then again, you reach out to them. So when you reach out to them, you want to qualify them first. So this is where you first share your opportunity. So again, when you're talking to these people, you're not positioning yourself as someone who makes videos. You're not positioning yourself as a cameraman or a camerawoman or a videographer or a video person or a video guy or video gal. When it comes to the value ladder, or the levels of value, I should say, 4 levels of value. You don't want to position yourself as an implementer. You want to position yourself as an imaginer and communicator, at a bare minimum. And the way we do that is by focusing in on the big picture. So in this case, again, what's the outcome that we're striving to help these established business owners accomplish who have a problem? Again, they don't have the time to create this content themselves, but they know that they need it. Because again, they're not trying to create a second part-time job that they don't have time for, and that's where you step in as a value add. But again, what are the outcome that they want? They want to stay visible and competitive in a digital-first world, so they can get more leads and customers online. And so, again, we want to make sure that they're qualified for that. So when you're talking to them, that's the opportunity we're sharing with them, and we want to see if they're interested in booking a content strategy call, so that again, we can, find out if we can come to an agreement. And again, you want to just book the call with those who are interested and move on from those who aren't. Remember, this is more so offensive play when it comes to our sales. So this is more outbound sales. Yes, this is quote unquote cold calling. Yes, this is in some circles, very inefficient. But the goal here is just to get you out there hunting. And the best way to get you out there hunting is, again, just to put, boots to the ground in this case, or phones to the ear, or, keys to inboxes or email editors so you can send emails. Again, we want to just be on total outreach, total full hunter mode. So we want to just start off, getting in the habit of reaching out, prospecting. You feel me? Going to events. When you're talking to these business owners, you're presenting yourself as such. In this case, the content production partner. All right. And again, that language is important. If anything, if you want to position yourself as that. I'm a content production partner. I understand that. Established business owners, they know that bringing in new leads and sales and will get in front of more customers, and bringing in new leads and sales is the lifeblood of their business. And in order to make that happen in a digital first world, they need to be, present in social media, but they show up inconsistently because they just don't have the time to, create content consistently. So that's where, I come in to step into play as a content production partner. I help them, create the content that they need on a monthly basis, so that they can stay top of mind all year round. All right. So that's qualifying. So once we got someone qualified, we want to present to them. So by presenting, we want to let them know what the game plan is. So in this case, we're going to have a strategy call. We're going to talk about, the game plan and the production plan, for your content. And then, you're going to enjoy new content on a monthly basis. That's the ultimate outcome. And then you're going to come to terms, in regards to your agreement, which package that they want at the end of the day. So once you present your opportunity. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, they're on board. You guys come to terms. Now it's time to close them. So again, when it comes to specifically closing them, once they've chosen their package. So when their package in this case, because again, the goal here is to use our Apple tools and the internet to create recurring monthly income, and by solving a big problem for established business owners who want to stay visible. Who want to stay visible and competitive in a digital first world, so they can get more leads and customers online. For those individuals, for those business owners, again, like, they need your help. So those are the people we want to focus on. And once we got them presented to, now it's time to close them. By closing them specifically, they're going to choose their monthly subscription package, and then you're going to send them a link so they can pay for it. So by monthly subscription package, on a basic, simple note to get started, your basic package is just going to be, quote unquote, one idea representing one video. So one idea. And the strategy that we're going to be using, as we'll talk about the next step, is going to help them get the short form content that they need. All right. So once you guys, you close this customer, now it's time for you to deliver. So when it comes to you delivering, you're going to use what I like to call, or what I've learned to be called, the pizza strategy. And this is the pizza strategy. You're going to use it to produce the content, and you're going to give it to the business owner. So here's the pizza strategy in its simplest form. Here's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be creating a long form piece of content. So in this case, something ideally, let's just say, an hour, 60 minutes worth of content, 60 to an hour, let's just say anywhere from 40 to 40 minutes to 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? So it's a long form piece of content. But here's what's going to determine the time. So the first thing you're going to do is, obviously, because again, you're going to be full service. So you're going to come up with an idea, and then you go research the idea. Then you go come up with an outline for the idea. And then you're going to record the video with, ideally, the business owner. So that's why I said learning how to do interviews, because you're going to ideally be interviewing them. Then once you interview them, then you're going to edit up the long form video, and then you're going to take that long form video, and this is where the pizza strategy comes in. So think of the long form video as the pizza, and then you're going to, quote unquote, slice it up into smaller clips. And then that's where you're going to get your short form content from. So you're going to take the long form content to create short form content. And how this is ultimately going to work out for you is because you are taking the time to plan this stuff out. When you do, set up your long form content, you specifically your outline, you're going to be asking, your the business owner or whoever that key person is that's going to be, recording that content. You're going to be asking them, questions or making statements relevant to specific points that you've already researched and know that are popular to their specific potential customers, I should say. So when you're putting this content out, it's attractive to them. Because you're going to have all this stuff planned out, and then you're going to shoot the long form content. When it comes down to clipping it up, that's how you're going to get your 20 pieces of short form content that you're going to post at least once a day, or that they're going to be able to post once a day. But again, so shoot the long form. So the process, again, is simple. You're going to come up with an idea for them. You're going to research the idea for them. Then you're going to come up with an outline for the idea for them. So that outline is going to determine the time of the video, and of the long form video, I should say. And then you're going to shoot the long form video, record it. Once you have it recorded, then you're going to edit it up, the long form video, into an interview, where you put on your bells and whistles, so your intro, your lower thirds, etc. And then you also take in the next step, which is going to be the clips. So when you take the clips, you go ahead and, just like you said, you want to shoot at least one a day. 5 work week is 5 days, so 20 clips. But again, because of how you've outlined the video, you're going to be able to clip it up and get the 20 clips that you need, because again, you've already planned it out. So when you're talking to the key individual in the business, it's all gonna make sense when it comes down to slicing that pizza up. And again, when it comes to another important point, when it comes to getting this content, is yes, you're gonna have to deal with someone in the business. They're gonna have to be in camera. Somebody's gonna have to be in camera. Some familiar face from the business, especially if you're professional services. All right. And so again, it's not something they're going to be able to get away from. But again, if they are a player, they understand that. So they're going to be willing to step in front of that camera, or someone on the team is going to be willing to step in front of that camera so you can make it happen and get the content that they need in order to be able to, stay consistent. And that's really what the name of the game is. The value here is in helping them stay consistent with the content, because that's the problem that they have. They don't have the time to create the content themselves to stay consistent. And again, when it comes to the time to create it, like I said, coming up with the ideas, researching the ideas, writing out the outline, for the video when you record it, then recording the video, then editing the video, both the long form, and then again, depending upon how you lay it out, you can then take the long form video and cut that up into, like, let's just say mid form video, so segments that, let's just say, are anywhere from 10 to or 5 to 40 minutes long themselves. So let's just say one long form video might put out 3 to 4 segments, and then you can then go down and clip those segments down, and again, to get you 20 clips overall, so you can post one a day, and then boom, or 30 if you want to go every day, 5 days a week. But again, that's the basic gist of what you're going to be offering, to these established business owners. So that's step number 2, getting the client. Then step number 3, collecting checks. So I checks, we're going to do air quotes on checks, because in this day and age, again, digital first world, it's all about payment processors, online payment processors. So your Zelles, your Cash Apps, what's another, there's tons of them at this point, but those are going to be your basics, your Stripes. But anywho, now that we have clarity on skilling up and getting clients for this opportunity, now it's time to step 3, collecting checks. Now, in order to make sure you keep your momentum up, you're able to retain your clients and collect these checks, it's going to boil down to 3 key points. So the first one is quality craftsmanship. The second one is client satisfaction. And the last one is systematize and scale. So quality craftsmanship. Quality craftsmanship boils down to making sure that, again, you putting your best foot forward. Every idea, quote unquote. Because again, your basic package is going to be one idea. Then let's just say your bronze package, your basic standard package is one idea. Is going to be one monthly fee. Then your next package, your mid-tier package, let's just say it's 2 ideas a month. That's going to be another price. And then you got your 4 idea package. That's 5. That could be another price. So let's just say you got those 3 packages at the end of the day. But again, to get started, we just gonna start off with the basic package, which is the one idea that you're gonna be pitching to these business owners. All right. So, but again, in order to make sure that you are able to even get these clients and retain them, quality craftsmanship when it comes to your video and content production is going to be paramount. It's going to be very important. So pay attention, being meticulous about paying attention to details. And getting again, planning stuff out, making sure that you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's. All right. So next, client satisfaction. In this case, client satisfaction boiling down to you ultimately delivering on what you promised. So new, fresh content on a monthly basis to help them stay visible and competitive in a digital first world, so they can get more customers, leads and customers online. That's what you got to deliver on. So in this case, just new content. So again, the value add is you being able to help them create this content without them necessarily lifting the finger. All they really got to do is just show up to speak. at the end of the day. You're going to do everything else. But again, now that you have that, squared away and situated, again, you want to make sure you keep them satisfied by just delivering on what you promise on. And as long as you deliver on what you promise on at a bare minimum, and when you can, if you want to give a little extras here and there, do so. But again, the main thing is keep the main thing the main thing, and the main thing in this case is going to be delivering on your basic promise of new content on a monthly basis. That's how we keep them satisfied, and that's how we keep them as a client. Last but not least, systematize and scale. So you're not just going to be doing this for it to become, your ultimate side hustle. No, you do this with the intention from the beginning for it to become, a business that runs on its own. So a business system. And you do that by systematizing and so that you can scale. And by systematizing, I mean documenting your basic processes, so the steps that you need to take to complete the tasks that you need to complete in order to deliver your product or to deliver on your promise to your customer or your client. And then boom, once you have all these things documented, then you're able to bring someone in and then give them these documents, these how-tos, and then train them on these how-tos so that they can now operate your system, so that you can then start working above your business so that you can scale it. And by scaling it, being, again, growing the business. So again, bringing on, new people that you need to train that ultimately then become the people who bring on the people who train the people that need to be trained, so that you can continue to grow. And then once you get to the point where now you're working above the business, where you're looking for new distribution chains, you're acquiring customers, complementary businesses that are going to help you, do your core business, all that kind of stuff. All right, so those are the 3 main points when it comes to collecting quote unquote checks. You know what I mean? You got to be able to be a quality craftsman at what you do when it comes to producing the content. You got to make sure you keep client satisfaction, as high as possible by first and foremost keeping the main thing, which is delivering on your promise, new content on a monthly basis. And then last but not least, once you get everything, running like a well-oiled machine, now it's systematized and scale. Time to level up. So that's it. That's the game plan. Step 1, skill up. Step 2, get clients. Step 3, collect checks. So now that you have the basic game plan to solve this big problem that many established business owners are having, that are players in the game, actively promoting themselves and actively advertising, they're looking to get in front of, new customers at all times. Those individuals, those business owners. Now it's time to take action. So you got to get the equipment that you need. So in this case, most likely you already have your iPhone and your MacBook or your MacBook. Well, you're going to need that iPhone for sure. But if you got a MacBook, that's great too. But you're going to need that as a bare minimum. But then again, you're going to need a camera stand with a ring light and the camera holder, at a bare minimum. Then you're going to need, skill up. So go on to YouTube, making the most of, the platform to take the tutorials when it comes to iMovie, and learn how to use the camera on your iPhone to shoot interviews, as well as other types of content that you can create. Because again, you can shoot interviews, you can shoot commercials. So getting shots of them, in action doing their business, like all that kind of stuff. But again, we're going to start with the basics. And the first basics is creating that short form content for them to be able to post on social media. And then again, once you skill up, it's time to hunt relentlessly. So going out there and getting them customers. And then once you get to your customers, now it's time to deliver on time. All right, so those are our action steps. Get that additional equipment that you need, skill up, hunt relentlessly, and deliver on time. So what are the stakes here? You've put this time in to take this training. Now that you have a newfound opportunity you can pursue to generate recurring monthly income, what are the stakes? So you can keep waiting, for the chance of a lifetime to change your financial fate. You can keep waiting on that pie in the sky pipe dream, as they like to say. You can keep waiting on somebody to give you a chance, or you can give yourself a chance. You can take your fate into your own hands by using your tools and your expertise and your resources to generate income, not just any income, recurring income, for yourself, using resources that you already have. All right. So that's where we stand. And the choice is yours. You go either keep waiting or you go choose yourself. So if you have any questions, feel free to use the comment section below, or you can DM me. But understand, again, the future belongs to the self-reliant. So master the skills you need to thrive on your own terms so you can make it happen. This is Dane's Desk. It's been a pleasure as always. Make it a great day. Peace.